Alright, let's get this compilation back on the road. This video almost had to be put on hold. When setting up to record, no audio via HDMI. I tried adjusting all manner of settings, tried rebooting, reinstalling OBS, trying all the versions of OBS, a different HDMI cable, and after all of that failing, I pulled out an emergency backup PS2 game instead, as the PS2 outputs analog audio which still worked. Come the next day, there was one more thing I wanted to try: reinstall the captured device's driver. Turns out AverMedia released a new driver in June to address this very audio problem introduced with the 2004 update of Windows 10. And so now it works fine. Oh, technical problems, you're so much fun. Anyway, back on schedule now. What was the backup game, you ask? Well, I'll be doing that next month, so you'll find out then. Okay then, what's next? Gravitation by James Shaughnessy. Sorry if I mispronounced that. The tried and true thrusty spaceship game. Navigate a ship around a maze-like level with only a thruster and directional controls. Like the Jetpack/Jetman series before it, and this fits the bill perfectly well. It feels weighty and accurate enough to be fair and not frustrating. Simply fly through the numbered gates for the given amount of laps, and stage complete. But don't touch anything or your way too delicate ship will explode. It's basically the video game equivalent to one of those buzzy wire games. Pretty good. Rock and Gems, another game by Gerard Rittenhofer. A dig-dug-like puzzler where the aim is to collect all the gems. But beware, Rocks and Gems emulate spelunking more realistically, with the threat of falling rocks because gravity exists. The craggy blocks will remain but can't be dug through. The craggy boulders will fall, but the smooth boulders will fall and roll off if next to a drop. Keeping an eye on this does make it tricky. You think your approach is safe and boom! Rock explosion. A good thinker this one, but take care not to dig too greedily and too deep. The Incredible Cone Man by Lars Barstad. Had to pronounce that carefully. The title screen immediately draws you in, with a small looping but pleasingly smooth jazz riff. Let's see how incredible this is. It's Pac-Man. It's 3D Pac-Man. Collect all the red pyramids to complete the stage, avoid the ghosts to not die, and collect the suns to become temporarily invincible in stages that resemble the old Windows Maze screensaver. It's fine and playable, though since it's restricted to using the D-pad, Cone Man can get stuck in corners sometimes. It's 3D Pac-Man. Bouncer 2 by Scott Evans. Ever played Breakout? This is Breakout but with a little twist. Instead of the usual bat and ball, we have two people on a set of scales or seesaw. Launch them into the air to hit the blocks and shapes to rack up points. The difficult part is keeping an eye on the two guys to make sure they land properly. In Breakout, it's a simple matter of making sure the ball hits the bat. But now you need to hit a specific part of the bat, which keeps switching each launch. An interesting idea, but I personally found it a bit finicky. Clone by Stuart Ashley. Back to some 3D action with a logo that takes way too long to settle. Yes, you made a shiny 3D logo, good for you. Game please? Game please? Finally. A first-person shooter, fancy. This is a simple dungeon shooter with a basic maze layout. I think it's called Clone because there's only one type of enemy, this weird flat zombie skeleton thing. Even though this is a 3D game, there are actually no 3D shapes. Like early FPSs before it, Clone is entirely comprised of 2D shapes arranged in a 3D environment. It's pretty meh. Next. Between the Eyes by Lewis Evans. A racer this time but in 3D, not top-down. A futuristic racer clearly inspired by games like F-Zero and Wipeout. But this time you're racing down psychedelic kaleidoscope tunnels. It sounds like a good concept, but the combination of fast speed and tight tunnel turns, and therefore low visibility, makes this hard to control. There is no analog steering or acceleration, so Between the Eyes is a button-tapping fest of constant direction correction and crashing into corners. Analog control and wider tunnels would have made this better. Even though this is out in numerical order, I wanted to save this one until last. Not to downplay all the other games, but when firing this one up, it immediately smacks of much greater effort. By Team Fatal, ooh, a team this time, TERRA Incognita, an action RPG. A developer logo, intro credits, an intro sequence, and Japanese and English dialogue options. Well then, TERRA Incognita, let's see if you've got the game to back up the presentation. A mysterious island being approached by two intrepid explorers. Well, one intrepid explorer. They're here to claim a treasure, being guarded by a ferocious dragon. These two don't seem to have names, so I'll just call them Adventure Guy and Boat Guy. Boat Guy is scared of going any further, and stays behind to guard the boat, so we play as Adventure Guy and venture forth. Okay, for shits and giggles, let's see how Google Translate handles the Japanese dialogue. I arrived, after all I stopped alright. Packer, what are you saying up to now? Is that Boat Guy's name, Packer? The ancient crawling spots on this island. There is a yellow pedestal, it's rumour. But the treasure is a scary monster, I'm protecting it. No matter how much you this time the scale, I can't come home safely. Such a thing I have to try. I don't know. Even I've managed to manage it. This time it will work. It's soft. Well then, watch out, come on. What are you saying? Together with you I'm going. Eh? I refuse. You alone, come on. As always, you are. It's okay. Because scary things are scary. Wakatsu, well, I'm watching. Come back early. It's going to be dark soon. Huh, that actually makes sense. Was found, was found. Really, when the sun goes down, I'll leave it. Really? It's persistent. You say you understand. Shah. Be careful, come on. TERRA Incognita has that pleasing PS1 3D RPG environment. Everything has a very Minecrafty boxy look. The camera can be rotated with R1 and L1 and zoomed in and out with R2 and L2, which is useful as it doesn't make the obstructing foreground transparent. Adventure Guy has to traverse the landscape with jumping puzzles, floating platforms and the use of crates. Enemies are blobs, just blobs of varying colour. These bastards are best avoided, as they can stun lock you most of the time. Adventure Guy's sword has no reach and is pretty sluggish, but there are bombs. You know, the typical video game bombs, whose fuses immediately ignite when you pick them up. This becomes a puzzle feature later on, using a bomb as a stackable platform, so you have to be quick. And quick you have to be. TERRA Incognita can be beaten within an hour. And by that, I mean you have to beat it within an hour, as there's a 1 hour time limit. After that, Boat Guy just assumes Adventure Guy's dead or something, and sails off. Game over. Best find that treasure then. When entering the dragon's lair, holy shit, different music. And you know something's about to go down when the game gives you a health item before entering an intimidating area. Ah crap, Adventure Guy needs to fight Charizard. Okay, how do I do this? His attacks are Fire Breath, Tail Sweep and Ground Stomp. I can't seem to hit him. And yes, I'm totally using the PlayStation Classic save feature to do this. How do I... Oh, you can jump and hit. Why am I only learning this now? Well, that made that much easier. Alright, treasure get! Now I gotta carry this thing all the way back to the boat. You can put it down to fight any enemies, but screw that. Boat. Just want boat. Oh, god damn it, a door puzzle. I gotta activate door buttons with active bombs and pick the treasure up in time? Fear not, Adventure Guy makes it back. A bittersweet ending, for all that effort was for naught. Boat Guy wants to take a look at the treasure. Adventure Guy says no. They bicker over it and it falls into the sea. You dumb shits. It's right there, dive in and get it! A short yet pleasing little, well, adventure game really. Calling it an RPG is a bit of a stretch. A game like this has potential to be much more, and it would have been cool to see this fleshed out to a full release. And there we have it. There are more Yaroze games out there, but these are the ones I have access to. The Yaroze PlayStation is a unique one. I can't think of any other console that got a development kit for home use. If there is, let me know in the comments below.